I have a very special episode. This is a video podcast. Don't expect gypsy tale type quality. We don't do that over here on the Hopper channel. We just hold a WFO and we see what sticks. However, I've got a very special guest. His name is Justin Sweet. He's 30 years old, ex-Marine. He's got 2 kids, beautiful wife, and he's going through a tough time. July 4th, had a gnarly accident where the bike stalled on a triple, broke his neck, and he's now quadriplegic. And I want you guys to, all the viewers, listen to this with a open heart. I'd like you to close your eyes and put yourself in this man's shoes. And whatever emotions and feelings that this podcast reveals, I want you to message him on Instagram. Whether you've been through a rough time, you know somebody with similar scenarios, I want you to flood his DMs with positivity, because this man doesn't need to walk amongst giants. This is an amazing individual that is a better man than me. And that's what I want to get across to the viewers, because he is an unsung hero. He is the typical Moto just enthusiast that just loves the sport and wants to zone out. And we don't get to see their sides very often. We see all of the professionals when something goes wrong, and you know, we come to them for we go to them when something goes bad. But literally the unsung heroes that nobody talks about that keep the sport alive are being forgotten about. And that's what I want as the Moto community, the people that are watching this, to prove, is that that is not the case. So please, just being repetitive here, you know, if you feel this touching whatsoever, go let them know.
Everybody's got a blank page, a story they're writing today, a wall that they're climbing. You can carry the past on your shoulders. You can start over regrets. No matter what you've gone through, Jesus, He gave it all to save you. He carried the cross on His shoulders, so you can start over.
Welcome back, subscribers. This is Johnny Hopper, who can't pronunciate. Justin had to tell me that, you know, I mispronounced his last name. I've got a very special guest with me. His name is Justin Sweet. I was saying Sweat, so I apologize, brother. He was involved in a very catastrophic motorcycle incident that all of us, that's lack of a better word, it's kind of our worst nightmare. So he reached out to me, and we just wanted to go candid, talk about his struggles, things that are going on with the industry. And just, this is kind of the side that people don't get to see. And I wanted to share it with all of you. And he was open enough to want to let everybody know what's going on behind the scenes. So how you doing, Justin?
I'm doing all right. Been better.
Dude, it's you're a badass motherfucker in my book and in so many others. Do you want to start off with just kind of from let's first just say, what was your injury and how did it happen?
Okay, so on the 4th of July this year, I crashed on my local motorcycle track just as just a regular practice today. And I don't remember, because the crash and everything and the drugs, you know, following the days, I don't remember the first 5 days. So some of this is just what I was told, but it seems like with the ambulance ride that within the first moto, the bike shut off in the air going over a jump, and I straight nose dived into the landing and I broke my neck. So I broke my C5 vertebrae. And with that, I had a pretty bad spinal cord injury, which left me immediately after the accident, paralyzed from basically the neck down. So, yeah, not good. Since then, I've been able to recover some movement in my arms and my hands, but even then, my fingers definitely are not 100% by any means at all. And neither are my arms for that matter. They're definitely severely reduced in strength, everything like that.
Whew. That's a tough one to follow. What has been tell me your initial thoughts from right when it happened. Was it something, because I know you said you can't remember a whole lot, but you said I believe reading the GoFundMe page, you spent a month in the ICU and then a couple months in a rehabilitation center. It looks like you're home right now.
Right.
That's a lot of time to kind of stop and reflect on just being can and coulda, woulda, shoulda type stuff. And do you think it just was a freak deal that just randomly happened, or I don't know, dude. What has been your initial thoughts during that time?
So at the beginning, I had a couple, as far as it actually took some digging for me to figure out what happened. Because like I said, I didn't remember, nobody was with me as far as like my family. I just went to the track by myself that day. So I also didn't have the ability because of my fingers to even use my phone for quite a while. So I was just I just had to hear what everybody was telling me. It took me like 2 months to get a hold of somebody who saw the crash, and also somebody who was there helping me before the ambulance got there. So I didn't even know really what had happened, which was even worse because I didn't know, what was my fault, if it was something I did, the bike, I had no idea, and then the injury itself, I knew that, you could be paralyzed from the, legs down, I understood that, but I didn't really understand what a quadriplegic was. And it's even, there's even a worse thing than being paralyzed from the waist down, I guess. I didn't really ever consider that possibility when, as an injury when riding a motorcycle. I don't know. So that was pretty rough to take into at the beginning.
But this was just at your local track, so you had your wife and everyone there at your bedside in the hospital, correct?
Yes. Because of COVID, it was hard, but yeah, for the most part, I think they were able to be there at the beginning, switching in and out and stuff.
Yeah. What does your recovery look like now? Because you do have a little bit of movement. I did see that you were flexing your quads on your Instagram as well. Have you gotten much more of that since then?
Yeah. So the only or one of the positives is that I don't have a complete sever. It's an incomplete sever. So there's possibility that I get stuff back, and I do have some leg twitches and movements and things, but it stinks because you never really know, I guess, with these things. Like that could be all I ever get. Walking is very far away from leg twitches, it's hard to get that, but, or, maybe one day I could get more stuff back and be able to stand. It's hard to know, but the next part of my recovery is going to be outpatient therapy for the indefinite future as much as I can. So
just being candid, dude, I have so much respect for you just in meeting you just here initially with your mannerisms and how you're smiling and everything, dude, because I can't use this word that I understand, because 99.9% of the population has not walked in your shoes, does not know what you're going on mentally, physically, emotionally with your family. There's so much that I just have to just almost get down on my hands and knees and tell you that not that everything happens for a reason, but sometimes spiritual growth, enlightenment is sort of forced upon those that are strong enough to withstand it. And I am not one of those people that's strong enough to come back from something like this. And you and definitely are somebody that is able to not have this hinder you, but have this evolve you into a better husband, a better father, and, you know, enlighten other people's lives with whatever you decide to do moving forward to this. It doesn't end with this injury. And I'm just trying to speak with, if I was in your shoes, I don't know how I could find the strength to basically move on.
Right.
So if you could tell the viewers what keeps you motivated and what keeps you going, like, hey, I am going to, if it is at all possible, this isn't going to break me. This is going to make me stronger. What is that motivation for you, Justin?
I think, and to be honest, like, I think that I generally am a pretty strong person, but this, it's really hard. I mean, it is really, really hard mentally. It's hard on like you said, my wife. My kids are young, so they're doing okay so far, but I mean, it's really hard. You know, I can't do anything myself, basically. It's really rough. And but I would say that as far as what motivates me, I guess it's just my family, because I just feel like you know, in the crash and accident, there was times where I definitely might not have survived. And I think that I'm better here than dead. So I just need to keep doing the best that I can, because I owe it to my family at this point. And that's really all I can do, you know?
1000%, dude. Just hashtag, you know, WFO, mad respect for you, Justin.
Thank you.
What do you think here? I'm getting kind of into philosophy and everything. Do you believe in everything happens for a reason? Do you believe in God gives you the strength to overcome? Do you believe in life after death? Like, I'm just, you've been through such an experience that I feel it has to have forced you deep within yourself to kind of try to find out who you are and who you want to become. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I said something to my wife at one point, like, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, man, you know, I think I'm a strong person and strong-willed and, you know, overall happy and motivated, but this is going to make me prove it or have to prove it, you know? And I do think that, I mean, it's hard to think it sometimes, you know, like everything happens for a reason, because it's like, man, what is the reason for this? But I mean, I hope that as time goes on, I'll be able to see it, you know, even better.
Yeah. There's a quote that I love that basically talks about the meaning of life. And it's to live is to suffer, and to find the meaning in the suffering. And it's that I kind of don't like the saying, and for me telling you like everything happens for a reason. It's such a loaded question, because you want to be like, fuck you, you know, like come be in my shoes,
Right.
and not be able to walk, you know, like that's bullshit. You know, why, if this is just on me, this is not on you, this is just reflecting me, you know, if God is such a good person, why would he allow something like this to happen? You know, so it comes back to that whole suffering. Does, you know, like my parents have bought me 3 Bibles over the last like 3 butts, and I so I've been reading some more about it, and just some of the stuff in it, to where like Noah, where God comes along and just decides to just basically genocide everybody. You know, it just makes you think, it's like, why is that even a thing when we're supposed to forgive? And, you know, we don't want our children to suffer like we do. We want to end suffering, but yet if you look around, there's a lot of it going on. And it forces people that are strong enough, like yourself, that in the midst of, you know, you were a Marine, so you've got so many more experiences that have that have pushed you forward, been like, you know what, I've been through hell, I can come back, and this is just another thing that's going to make me continue to build on and come back. I'm not that person that's just going to, lie down. And even if I physically can't get up, emotionally, I'm going to stand on top of the mountain and be better than what I was before.
Right.
And I'm blown away at just your perseverance in this type of a matter. Because you've been given a second chance in kind of a real shitty way, dude.
I guess so. Huh?
It's like you said it, you don't understand the short term of this, but if it is true that, life goes on after this, like we're just a small speck of existence in the 120 years. Okay. I hope you live to be 120, but just in the speck of existence, your soul, your spirit is somebody that I would like to be behind, like there's leaders and there's followers, and somebody like yourself is a born leader. And through experiences and what you're going through right now is just proving that. There's some people in life like myself that I consider I'm kind of a follower. I'm looking towards somebody to help pull me out of whatever struggle I'm going through. And you were literally on the front lines figuring it out for other people to follow. And when you reached out to me, because I remember seeing this, I'm constantly seeing people are sending me all sorts of stuff as far as not just the professionals, but the local heroes, because the sport of motocross is built off of the guys that go buy bikes, not the guys that are given bikes or are paid to ride. It's guys like you and ultimately like me that go buy motorcycles to keep the sport going.
Yep.
And people don't see, they just see if like somebody like Carmichael or McGrath or Fonseca or David Bailey or Doug Henry, they just see those injuries. They don't see the suffering. And I'm using the term suffering as good and bad, Justin. I hope I'm trying to get that across, that it's not just bad. But it is bad that your stories don't get to be heard. It's only the guys that are in the spotlight. And when you reached out to me, it broke my heart because it became all that much more real, that you were a real person. You weren't just somebody on my feed that is going through a tough time. You were an actual person that has having to live through a hardship currently. Yeah. And it's what we were talking about a little bit before, you saying that road to recovery is designed just for professionals. Can you share a little bit more about that? Have you reached out to them or?
Yeah, I did look at their website and things like that. And basically right there on the top, it says that they're designed for professional athletes who have been injured. And I didn't realize that at all. And it's just interesting, like to your point, really, I remember there was Ryan Villapoto in his documentary said something like, I'm the one putting myself out there and putting my life on the line on the track, and it's not the mechanics or, stuff like that. But I remember when I watched that, I remember thinking like, shit, I'm putting myself out there too, like I'm out on the track for nothing, basically for my own dime, and it's in my opinion, it's just as risky for the amateur guy as it is for the professional. 100%. I mean, I've gotten all kinds of the same injuries that professional athletes have gotten, that you have probably gotten, and, same for you. So it's just interesting because none of the spotlight is ever on the amateurs, the local tracks and stuff that, to your point, are the ones buying the bikes and funding the paychecks of all the pros,
Yeah. And there's riding a dirt bike has been just for finding that zone. You know, I'm sure. Why is it that you started riding a dirt bike? Was it because it shut everything off for you, or what was the reason that brought you to, hey, I'm going to go buy a dirt bike and I'm going to go either race motocross or I'm just going to trail ride, or what brought you to the feeling of needing to purchase a motorcycle?
I mean, yeah, I started as a kid, just like a lot of other people, and I just loved it. It's that feeling of, it's adrenaline. It's how difficult it is, like when you start getting to a level where you're jumping all the jumps and riding hard and riding fast, it's that sense of accomplishment, like only we know how difficult it really is to go race a hard track and do all the jumps and everything like that. So there's just a huge sense of accomplishment, there's an adrenaline rush. There's, like you're saying, the whole time you're at the track, even when you're not on the track, nothing else in life matters, all of a sudden it's just about you and your bike and your gear and the track and talking about the ruts. And, I spent a lot of time at the track with my dad. So that was just something that me and him shared together,
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what it's like to ride a dirt bike and what keeps us coming back.
It's definitely, it's a drug. It's a fix.
Yeah, it is like
Justin, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your experiences with motocross. Are you a B rider, an A rider? What was the classification? Because you said you're 30 years old, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So I probably would say I was like a B rider. I started racing this year in like the vet classes, and I raced like expert, 30 plus expert.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I could handle myself on a dirt bike,
I've seen videos,
Yeah.
You definitely are skilled. So it's again, I'm not trying to make this sad, because I feel your future is so blessed, and you have such an opportunity that you're taking right now to not have this hinder you, but have this, again, make you evolve into the man that you want to be and the person that you're going to become. Because so many people are just wrapped around motorcycles, and it's just a small little existence when there's so much more broader to the world. This is kind of a hard question, and I'm kind of a dickhead for even asking this, Justin. So you don't have to answer this. Recovery goes amazingly well, which it will. Are you going to ride a dirt bike again?
I won't ride a dirt bike again because of my family. I think that maybe if I didn't have a wife and children, I might do it again just to prove to myself that I could, but I couldn't do that to my wife and kids. So I won't ever ride a dirt bike again.
That's a experiences. There's also another quote that the best experience is not your own, meaning that you learn from people that have basically like figured it out. They figured it out. They found 1,000 ways to make a light bulb, but they found one that works. So the next guy that's going to build a light bulb, he already knows how to build one. Essentially, He doesn't have to waste his time. And for people, dude, I think you're going to get a really good response with all this. I am just so at loss for words with trying to get in your head and seeing where you're at, because I'm trying to put myself into your shoes, and it's difficult because it's not somewhere that I want to go. There's been some stuff that's happened with me, but it's nowhere near what is. So you're home now. I mean, what's how's work going, dude? How's just life in general? How's going, being outside, feeling the wind, the smelling the flowers? How's life currently? Just honestly.
So life. So I spent a month in the hospital, and there was a lot of issues that came up. I had pneumonia. I had, all these other sicknesses due to this injury, right? And then I went to Chicago and did rehab there. So that was about 2 months, right? So now I'm home, and it's nice because, it's not, I mean, you know how injuries are. You don't know they're going to happen, right? I didn't like say bye to my house or, my friends. I just was in the hospital for 3 months, so it was nice to come home and see some family and, be in my house and stuff like that. But reality quickly set in. Even the first day, like, my wife was trying to get me into bed because we didn't have all the equipment yet. And I ended up on the ground. Not like she dropped me, but it just wasn't working. And I ended up on the ground, and we had to call somebody to help pick me back up into my chair. And it was just like, it's rough, and we've been figuring it out, and we've been getting help and more equipment and stuff like that. But it has been a big reality check in a way, because it's really hard on my wife, for sure. And so we're going to try and get more help, and possibly I might go back to rehab to try and make my ability to move around and stuff and take care of myself better. But it is nice to be home, but it's really hard. And I'm sure you can imagine, due to the increased stress, it's hard on your marriage, it's hard on the kids because they get less attention. It's not, I've been injured many times, and this is nothing like that. I mean, this is completely life altering, it's horrible. So.
You being a Marine, are you getting any sort of help from the VA or anything? Or
yeah, thank God, because I do have health insurance through my work, as well, private health insurance. But then the VA, they're like, I'm like piggybacking off of that too, So whatever my health insurance doesn't cover, I'm trying to get it through the VA. And then also they have their own rehab. So I might try and get into that program as well. Just because, that would be like totally free for me. So.
As it should be, dude. Like, thank you for your service. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks for your support. So so hopefully that's good. So that's one benefit that I have, where, somebody who wasn't in the military, I mean, their financial burden, it would be even worse in a situation like this. I mean, just to give you, I mean, I don't know if you want to put this in, but just to give you like a little bit.
Only if you want me to.
Like one of the bills alone for like the first month of rehab, that my insurance luckily paid, was $140,000. Like,
and this was just for a month.
Yeah. So like the bills, now I'm not responsible for that. I have insurance, thank God. But imagine if you didn't, or something like that. You're a young kid. It's just like, how are they gonna? I mean, there's no way. That's like, that'll cripple your whole life. Bankruptcy. So.
And that goes back to the whole being a local unsung hero. There is greater risk involved with throwing your leg over a dirt bike than a professional, because I've never been on a factory team. I find it hard to believe that they actually have an insurance, like under factory Honda or Yamaha, because of shit like this, but you guys are risking more for your day job and everything, just because of the sheer amount of just one injury. Whether it is just I have a buddy that good rider, broke his collarbone, and 15 grand later is like, fuck this, because I can't afford it. It's and that's a very small injury, that is nowhere near to the extent of other things.
Yeah.
Do you want to share anything like what you're thinking here currently? Because this July 4th, we've got July, you're looking at 4 months or so of this life altering. Where's your head out right now, Justin? I mean, just just honestly. And if nothing else, this is something that you can look back on, and be like, hey, I remember that fucker. I remember looking at myself right there and looking at myself in the mirror and telling me like, you can do this and you can do this. And a year from now, dude, you can look back at this and be like, that motherfucker, look at what he did. Look at what he fucking accomplished. Look at how badass this guy is, because everything that he's going on and going through right now, he stepped up. He stepped up for his family. He stepped up for everyone in his life. And more importantly, he did not lay down. He got up and he pushed through. Is there just tell me what your head is at, and I'm just gonna shut up.
So right now I'm feeling pretty good, because it seems like so far I'm getting a lot of movement back. And it seems like every time I get down on myself, something else will happen, and I'll be like, encouraged again and be like, okay, there's hope, right? Because even things like standing would be such a game changer in my life, because I could stand up and then like get in a car, right? Or, get in bed by myself. That would be, massive. So I'm really trying to just keep positive, and as long as I'm getting stuff back, I'm good. So right now that's where I'm at still. And what's helping keep me positive, but I fear, it's going to stop, just one day, I'm going to stop getting stuff back, and I don't know how I'm going to handle that. But still, I know that there's a lot of people that have less than me that are very active and very independent. So I'm just going to keep working hard every single day and figure it out, because that's all I can do. And, that's just, that's what I just wake up every day and try and do, just figure it out.
Don't worry about something that's yet to happen, is essentially, don't focus negative energy about something that's yet to happen, because you can't predict the fucking future no matter how much. And if you just dwell on, this is it, this is the plateau, chances, you start walking again. You wasted all that time and energy thinking about something that didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee, died at like 33. One of his quotes, he said, don't pray for an easy life, pray for strength to endure a difficult one. And again, I'm going back to the strength that you have for this. Are you able to drive? Or are you able to, are you planning on fixing up your car so that you can be able to anything or?
Yeah, I am trying to. So I have like a newer truck. So I'm trying to get that situated through the VA. So, but that's going to take some time. I guess I have to get like a special license too, and it takes like a while. So, I mean, that would be like, maybe like in a year or something like that, that'd probably be able to come to fruition. So right now, we're borrowing like a wheelchair accessible van from somebody who actually was a quadriplegic, and they died like a month ago. So their family letting us borrow it. So that's kind of a random thing that happened, but yeah, I'm not driving. I'm very dependent right now still on other people. There's not much that I can do by myself, so even transferring, is very, I need assistance, getting from the wheelchair to the car and things like that. So,
well, Justin, what are your short-term goals? I'm talking like 1 to 3 to 6 months type deal. What are your
in that time frame? I think that I want to be able to transfer by myself and be a lot more independent, to free my wife up. I want to be able to get out of bed. I want to be able to get in the car, do things like that, so that it relieves a lot of stress on the family, so those are my short-term goals.
If you don't mind sharing, what does your daily routine look like?
Yeah. So, I'll be completely candid because I think that it's important that people know, because I didn't know these things. I had no clue about some of the stuff that is a part of this. It's a lot more than just not walking. So when I get up, I can't sit up, right? So I can't put pants on because there's no way that I can like lean forward at this point enough to do that. So my wife basically has to dress me. At this point, because we're not comfortable doing transfers from the bed to the chair, we have like a lift that actually lifts me up and puts me in the wheelchair, right? And then I can do like morning hygiene routines. But as far as this isn't something you don't think about. I can't control my bowels, right? And I think even for paraplegics, it's the same thing. So I have to be what they do is they intermittently cath you. So every 6 hours, nonstop, even through the night, I have to be cathed to relieve my urine of my body, right? Otherwise, I'll get like sick, like my blood, because my body needs to pee, right? So my wife at this point, because my finger strength isn't there yet, has to do that for me every 6 hours into the night. So that'll be, happen in the morning or whatnot, if that's the case. And then I can hygiene myself, I can brush my own teeth and stuff like that. And I can feed myself. My hands work good enough to do that. So then I have therapy a lot of days, or I help my wife with the kids, just kind of go around with her, whatever she needs to do. And I'm in my chair most of the day. Sometimes I'll go sit on the couch or whatever, do some therapy. And then at night, I just, I have to do a lot of stretching because, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. My body gets like super, super tight, my shoulders, my arms, and I don't know. I guess it's because I don't move them that much. And during the night, I basically just lay flat on my back. I'm not able to roll around. So my body just gets super tight and stuff. So I have to do like a lot of stretching throughout the day. And then at nighttime, we do a bowel program situation too, to do, number 2, right? So there's a lot of things that are a part of this sort of injury that nobody talks about, nobody even knows about. Like I had no idea that those sorts of, it makes sense, when you think about being paralyzed, but when you see somebody, rolling down the road, you just kind of think like, oh, they can't walk and whatever, but it affects, your entire body, your blood pressure. Everything. If you don't want to include that stuff too, I totally.
Dude, if
That's horrible.
I think it's important, but it's up to you if you want to be able to.
I'm fine
put
with
that
it.
in there
Because I'm not saying that I wouldn't have decided to ride a dirt bike if I knew this, but I don't know what I told my wife at one point, and it kind of pissed her off, but I was like, I knew I could be paralyzed, and I knew that was a potential risk of this riding a dirt bike, like legs down. But I was like, I never understood all this other stuff, I didn't even understand that this was really like a possibility, because who goes around and like researches being paralyzed? You know what I mean? Like
you don't think about it.
Exactly.
You don't.
So anyway, when I started realizing this stuff in the hospital and as time started going on and going to rehab, I was like, damn, it's not fun. It's horrible.
Are you a part of any groups, like-minded, like people that have the same kind of injuries, so that you can bleed onto? Because dude, the biggest thing that happened to me was I had to learn how to walk again because I had drop foot, which is essentially the nerves in my foot don't allow me to move, so once I could kind of move my leg again, my foot wouldn't move up. So every time I moved, it was just like flopping. Cause when the bones in my leg broke, it severed the nerves. And so I had to have my tendons fused so that my foot would be like this. Not even in the realm of on the Richter scale of anything. And I remember times of over the years, my wife, now she'll tell me this stuff, but her saying one more time, to her parents, if this fucker gets hurt one more time, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I love that motorcycle, but at the same time, I hate that motorcycle. And every time I see fucking shit on my feed of people getting really hurt, it brings back more of like, I hate that fucking motorcycle, because it's not just this sport is not just hurting me, it's hurting so much other people, and people don't see the side of it. And granted, yeah, that's being pessimistic and negative. And it's just me. It's me being scared and not in control of what the future could happen, and me being not as strong of an individual as you, Justin. And that's why I'm scared. And I think it's important I was 1000% on board with talking to you and trying to show some more people of how badass you are and what kind of an individual it takes to be in the thick of things. And that's a long drawn out thing of, are you involved with people? Because what I was trying to say is I can't relate to you. I can say I understand, but I don't understand. So are you involved with any groups that actually understand everything that is going on with being a quadriplegic?
I'm not yet. There is a group called the Paralyzed Veterans of America. So I'm getting into that one. I don't know. There's really not in my area a lot of people like me, especially if you want to get talking into my, age area, even my, the rehabilitation place I'm going to right now in my town, I asked them today, do you have a lot of quadriplegics that come in here? And they're like, no. So I do have one fellow rider who was paralyzed. His was a T injury a few years back. So I've been kind of texting him and talking to him about it. But yeah, there's just not a lot of people around where I'm at that have the same sort of injury. When I was in rehab, though, I obviously, the place I went to rehab, that's all they did really was spinal cord injuries. So everybody was there was a pretty high level, if quad or paraplegic, even a lot worse than me. So that was kind of interesting to see and meet them and talk to them too.
Do you think you could get involved with something like a Zoom meeting or people of that nature, a Facebook group, something? Because I feel that would be an essential part of your rehabilitation, not just for your body, but for your mind, to be able to bleed onto other people and feel motivation from other people that have been through the same type of experiences and have risen above.
Right. No, I mean, that's a really good idea. I haven't done that yet, but that is definitely something to look into for sure.
I know I'm going to absolutely, your GoFundMe is going to be in the description, and I hope a bunch of people share this. Is there anything that you want to say, and is there anything else that you want to contribute to? Dude, forgive me for not being totally in the headspace for, I'm no gypsy. I'm not Jace, as far as that man does a really good job as far as being a therapist and somebody that is able to get inside somebody's head and really be a good podcast host. That's not something in my forte. But is there anything that you else want to talk about? I mean, it doesn't even have to be about dirt bikes. It could just be about life in general.
I mean, one thing that I did want to mention that I felt in this experience that I think after thinking about it, I think I understand why, but a lot of when this happened, a lot of people came to help, right? Visited me in the hospital, people that I didn't even think, really, like random, like the Snap-on truck guy came, you know what I mean? Like multiple times to come visit me at the hospital, right? But the people that didn't really come were the motocross people, and which surprised me, and I think a lot of it is because they're scared, like people, and I could be wrong, but it's like they don't want to look this in the face, you know what I mean? And think about it and dwell on what can happen, and I see that even in other riders too. Like, it seems like even in the pros, something happens to them, and it's a career ending injury, like really bad. And then you kind of don't really hear about them after a few months. It's kind of just like the end of it. And I wonder if that's the case, or like, because I wouldn't want to look at that either. It's probably hard to talk to me and then go ride tomorrow or something, or later today or something like that. It's hard to get that off your mind. And so I don't know. I feel like,
So are you disappointed in the motocross community for kind of sweeping it under the rug? And if that's kind of what I'm reading at?
yeah, I think so. Like, I feel like I got the least amount of support from those guys, like, I think that a couple of them reached out once or twice, and that's pretty much it, and they continued to do their thing, and that's fine, but, and I think that's where it lies. I think it's to just fear, looking the horror in the eye, it's pretty rough, but I don't know.
I think you nailed it on the head, as far as the analogy going, that it's hard to see the reality of something that nobody wants to have happen. And then for them to continue to ride or look forward to something, it's difficult. So it's better just not even pay any attention to it. And then I do believe that there's some people out there that, not all, that there's some people that for their own happiness, is they're like, hey, I'm going to go give back to the community a little. I'm going to go say hi, but then, 6 months from now, I'm not going to continue to do anything. It's just pretend like it never happened. I did my one little due diligence, and
right.
and I'm done with it. There was one life altering experience that I had. Kid, 16 years old, wasn't the best rider, but he had fun. He went out with his dad. They had a good time. He wasn't the best, but he did it because he loved it. And I was doing it because I was making money at it. And as soon as you do something for money, it sucks all the fun out of it. And, he looked up to me, and we would hang out, and I would teach him some stuff. And I got a phone call from his dad, and he said, my son is in the ICU. And I was going, all right, I'm on my way. And I get over there, and he's in a coma, and his dad is outside in the waiting room, and he's bawling his eyes out. And, I'm telling him, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And he's like, I did this to my son. My son is dying because I got him into motorcycles. And I was like, this is not your fault. This isn't. And he just got accepted to one of the prestigious colleges. And I remember being in there and holding this kid's hand. And ultimately, he ended up passing away from a head injury, and extremely traumatic experience as to why does this happen. And, I'm not naming names here. I'm just using as an example.
Right.
It was just a little low side. He just low sided hit his head. And it's like, how many thousands of times does that happen where you stick your foot down and you plop over,
Definitely,
it there's that saying that like, hey, I'm going to stay away from this fucking sport. I'm going to stay away from this because it's so dangerous. But at the same time, you know, you could get killed walking outside, you know, but
Exactly, yeah.
the funny thing is that you never think that that's going to happen to me. You never think that if I'm going to walk outside or cross the street that I'm going to get hit. You never think that my bike is going to seize or stall or something on a lip of a jump and get paralyzed. I've got multiple friends that forgot to turn on their gas. And so when they go back out, you know, because they have a carbureted bike, when forgot to turn on their gas, throw their leg over the bike did the same shit that happened to you, and they're in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
You know, and it's I don't know what I'm trying to say, Justin. It's again, it comes back to experiences. It's all about experiences. And I look up so much to you. I want us to stay in touch, moving forward. That. And if there's anything that I can do to try to help, I mean, granted, I will certainly try to, if it's just sitting here just bitching about politics with you, I will fucking bitch about, God knows that I could bitch about stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. Again, you are the fucking man. You know, I want you to know that you are the fucking man. Okay. And this does not define you. This does not define you. You know, you can let it define you, or you can just believe in that the body that you're given right now is just a vessel. You know, you're given so much more to give to your family. And just because it's not working as well as you want it to, there's so much more that you are going to discover if you look deep enough within you, that you are going to be forced into, if you're willing to just totally let go and embrace the process. You are going to be a better man for this. You're going to be a better father. You're going to be a better husband, you know, and this is a defining hurdle in your life, but it is not, it's changing it. But I'm trying to tell you that you can let this change you for the better.
Yeah.
And
I believe that. I believe it. And I appreciate it a lot.
Are you into any sports or anything, dude? Like, you know, what, do you watch any movies? You know, like what lets your brain go? What gets you away from this stuff?
I think what I used to, from the Marine Corps and stuff, I think I'm going to get into shooting, because I think I can do that. Yeah, I think I'll be able to do that, you know? So I did that in the Marine Corps. I kind of stopped doing it when I got back out because I started riding again, but I think I'm going to go back to that, and for the time being, and yeah, as long as my wife doesn't think it's too dangerous.
Yeah. I hear you, dude. You know, any like plans of jumping out of planes or, you know, anything crazy that's on your bucket list?
No, I've already jumped out of a plane. I'm good for now. I'm just
the Marine Corps. You've probably done it 1,000 times.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm good. I got all my dangerous stuff out. I'm sick of being injured. I've surgeries and, you know, hospital. I'm done for a long time, hopefully.
Do you listen to any audiobooks, dude? Or
yeah, I'm definitely I love the murder podcasts. I love the murder podcasts.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Have you seen the Squid Game on Netflix?
Yeah, I watched Squid Game. Yeah. For the longest time I was like, I'm not watching this thing because it's Korean. Yeah. And it's dubbed in English. Like, you can't force me. The algorithm on Netflix can't force me to watch this, even though they say it's #1. I don't believe it. I'm not going to watch it. And finally, my wife and I watched the first episode, and we were making fun of the mannerisms of just a different culture. And then we're like, wait, this is actually pretty good. Yeah. As soon as they started shooting people, I was like, okay, I can watch this. This is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That show's actually Netflix's #1 show of all time.
Really? Why? Yeah, because it probably goes across the world and everything, right?
Yeah, yeah. It grossed, I think, a little over $1 billion, and it got 111 million views.
Wow,
So,
that's crazy.
unfortunately, I think Netflix is going to be start showing us more dubbed shows because
Yeah,
they've proven that they can get away with it.
yeah.
Um, before we go, brother, what's one thing that you're looking forward to in your life?
Um, I think that what one of the positives I can see so far with this is that I'm going to spend more time with my family because that's what's really important. And you know, hopefully I'll be able to accomplish that goal. Before this, I worked a lot. Now, I've gotten some time, obviously some time off and stuff. So I'm just looking to spend more time with my family and, you know, be more relatable to my kids and all that good stuff.
And if we want to help out, how do we get in touch with you?
Um, you can get in touch with me on Instagram. My I think you're going to link my GoFundMe. So if you want to help in that way, but I would like to, I don't know what it means, but I would like to be able to help the sport and, people that are injured like me, amateurs and things like that, because I really think that there's not a lot of light shown on those people, so I don't know how I could do that, but if anybody wants to reach out and help out, I'm all ears.
That's a really good idea. So are you open with having some people reach out to you that might have similar stories and seeing
Definitely.
if you can help them out? Because if anybody else is watching this that has been through a catastrophic injury, knows somebody, they're just going through a tough time, hit Justin up, put him in the DMs, let him know that we care about this badass motherfucker. And, again, we can collectively help each other out because there's room for all of us. And I think that's the problem with the moto industry is we just get so one-sided. And going back to what we were talking about is the sport is it's off in its own little bubble. You're the single guy on the track. You don't really reach out and ask for help for anything. And I think if we broaden the spectrum and we become more of like a family, I think it'll do wonders for growing the sport and helping everybody out. And I think it's extremely important to be able to see not just the awesome side of stuff, but just some of the negativity of what potentially happens. And I think if you're willing to adjust, and we're going to continue to stay in touch, and we'll come up with something to collaborate so that we can. You said you're in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get to some supercrosses. If I get down there for some supercrosses, I'd love to take you to a supercross and come hang out. If that's something that is on the table, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, that sounds great.
But reach out to this dude, flood his DMs, because that's always, it's very meaningful. And we love you, brother.
Thank you. I really appreciate you, taking my DM and listening to me. It means a lot.